Hi, everyone. I am going live today. It's kind of an impromptu live. But thank you to everyone who will be watching this live, who's watching on the replay. There's a lot happening in the world. I've had to take some time away from social media, but just felt called to speak on vicarious trauma that we are experiencing, right? We are seeing a lot of things happen before our eyes, a lot of traumatic incidents, zero accountability, right? Our communities being targeted. And the impact of that is not small, right? On our well being, on our mental health, on our nervous systems, which I talk about a lot. So, if you're new here, my name is Marissa Price. I am a liberatory healing practitioner helping Black women and femmes rise from traumatic experiences and come back into our full, authentic selves, really creating lives that align with who we are. And so, if you're interested in that type of content, please subscribe. Please follow along. I do have a blog post on vicarious trauma that may be helpful if you're looking for more insight into what this is, but we'll be talking about that today. But first, I just want to see how everyone is. If you're here live, how are you doing? There's a lot happening, right? A lot of, is there a word for it? Violence, um, chaos, things that we have been trying to warn people about for, let's see, centuries at this point, right? And we're seeing it all kind of come um, mm, just on full display, right? On full display. Again, these things are not new to a lot of us, unfortunately. Um, I've seen a lot of posts about the history of these things, of ICE, right? Of patrols, of patrolling enslaved people, the roots of policing in the US. Things that, again, a lot of us have been talking about, been studying, been researching for years, going back, right, centuries to the work of activists before us. And it's kind of mm, not confusing. That's not the word I'm looking for. It's angering, right, to see people who feel like this may be a new issue when we have been trying to bring people's attention to it for so long. And so, if you are feeling the weight of everything that we're experiencing collectively, um, a shift, right? Because it does feel like a true shift in so many things that we're feeling. Know that you're not alone, right? You're not alone in any of that. That's something we're seeing right now, right? Vicarious trauma. And this is when we are experiencing trauma. So, not ourselves necessarily, but we're seeing other people be harmed. And that has an impact on us, right? We're communal beings. That's how we're wired. And so, if we see someone, particularly who shares our lived experience, our identity, right? We see them being harmed, being targeted. That has an effect on us too. It's not like we can just be like, oh, well, it's not me, so it doesn't impact me. We are impacted by things that other people experience too. That's one of the things within Western society and culture that tells us that we are just individuals here on this planet, that we shouldn't be impacted by what we see anyone else being harmed by. That's just not true. That's not how we're wired. That's not how we're set up. That's not how anything in nature operates, right? And so, why would we operate that way? So, know that if you're affected, and maybe you are in the workplace, right, and having to navigate all the things, all the things, right, having come from these environments, I know what that's like, where people are not really affected by anything at all. And you feel like, right, is something wrong with me because I'm feeling this so deeply? And just know that no, nothing is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. Hello, thank you for joining. Ashe, thank you. Staying grounded while processing the matrix of it all. I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you so much for joining. Yes, the matrix of it all. And I love that you're staying grounded. Yes, staying grounded, practicing joy, inviting in joy, and it can feel like, what's the purpose of joy during these times? It's so important, right? Even more so to carve out space and time for yourself to really like invite in the things that you like to do that make you smile, right, in the midst of the chaos and violence that we're witnessing. experiencing, it is essential to have that sense of groundedness, right? Even just taking a breath can help you come back, right, into your body. Re embodiment as liberation, because they want us out of our bodies, right? They want us in there. Shout out to Rushni Cope, Glamazini. They want us disoriented. That is the goal, right? They want us everywhere. Every day I read these headlines, it's like it comes from so many different places. Here, this policy was in place this day. Next thing, like this person took it away, right? And so it's this constant like chaos. Is this in place? Is it not? Are you going to go forward with your colonizer behavior right today, or are you going to take a pause from it? It's just up and down constantly. And so know that it's very intentional. If you're struggling to feel grounded or rooted or in place, right? That's on purpose. They want you to feel kind of up in the air and not really rooted in who you are, who you come from, which is so important during these times. Hey, Daniela Elevates. Good to see you. Good evening. Is it evening where you are? Good evening. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Island Flower Tea, hello. The system wants to train us to be, yes, calloused, ooh, emotionally, but we just can't. We are not wired that way. Much light and healing. Thank you for that. Yes, yes. Calloused emotionally, to not feel, right? To not be harmed when we see someone else be harmed, to not experience vicarious trauma, to make us feel like, oh, if it's not happening to me, then it's everything's okay. Again, thank you so much for that. We're not wired that way. That's literally not how we are wired as human beings. And it's only like a function of the society, right, that conditions us to try to be like that. And it feels so unnatural to so many of us, right? It's like looking around like, well, I guess I'm okay. So that means everything's okay. No, that feeling that we have like, no, this is not right because I see someone else being harmed. We're communal beings, right? But within this society, this colonial system that we're in, right, that tries to shut off our emotions and tries to make us into unfeeling robots so often to just go along with whatever they tell us to do. Um, it's like the ultimate form of resistance to still like feel within what we're experiencing. And so know that if you're being impacted by this, you are not the problem, right? It's the colonial system that's the problem. That's the issue. We were never meant to live like this. And we feel it, right? So many of us feel it within like this is not right. This doesn't feel right, right? We're being called, especially now, we're being called to revisit things, ways that we used to live, how we used to be in community, right? In safe community, because not everyone is safe. So I had to say that, but around people that you can trust, right? To provide resources, things that we see are being stripped from so many of us. And it's a lot. And so just want to name that, right? It is a lot. It is a lot that we are navigating, right? As Black women, we're seeing how we're being impacted, right? Even over the past year, it's only been a year. I had to keep reminding myself that. Um, but working on the summit behind the scenes, the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women that I'll be co-hosting with Dr. Kamani. Um, us even talking through this, right? We're in a much different place this year than we were last year. And what does that mean when we are being pushed out, forced out of the workplace without the ability to plan our exit, right? It's all these things just compile on top of each other. And so it's a lot that we're experiencing right now. Hey, Marissa, thank you for joining. Always good to see you. Right. And so we're seeing all these things on screens. Again, I've had to take time away from social media because it's been a lot, right? As a person who feels, as a human being, I had to take space away because it's just It's a lot of information. We were never meant to see this level of trauma just on a reel, right? In the fact that you can just scroll through so many traumatic events over and over again. That has an impact on us. We were never supposed to do that. And these apps really function on us, right? Feeling like we're glued to them, right? It plays on our brain chemicals to give us that level of like dopamine hit when we're on them. And so just even knowing that you can take a break, right? You can take a break. It may take it may take some time because social media can be kind of an addiction, right? And so because it plays on our brain chemicals. And so that's real. And so if it feels kind of impossible to step away from what we're experiencing sometimes, again, know that that's not you. That's the way that apps are designed. And so even having that understanding, right, I need to take a pause. I need to take a weekend break from what I'm experiencing because it's too much, that you have the agency to do that, right? And so we're carrying the weight of all these things in our bodies, as I talk about often, right? Coming back into our bodies as a source of healing and liberation, because of what we are carrying now and what we've been carrying historically. Again, a lot of these things are unfortunately not new, particularly to Black people, right? We have been trying to educate, sound the alarm, tell people that this is truly happening for centuries, right? And what we're seeing is a continuation, as I said, of patrols of enslaved people. None of this is new. This is the colonial system that we have been surviving for centuries. And so what we're seeing really can affect us, right? And not because it's surprising, unfortunately, because it confirms what we have known for generations, right? We are subjected to dehumanization, to our lives not being valued, right? And something I that's been bothering me, knowing that Black immigrants are being targeted. I don't see that being talked about enough, right? Kind of making this like this isn't about us, this isn't our issue. That's simply not true, right? And this could get into a lot of different things, right? Mm, I don't even know if I want to touch on that in this, but just know that Black immigrants are being affected by what we're seeing as well. And so when we see trauma, right, whether violence by police, brutality by ICE, neglect, our bodies and spirits feel it. This is what vicarious trauma is, the deep embodied response we have when we witness trauma inflicted on people who look like us, who share our identities, who come from our communities. Right? This is vicarious trauma. And again, I wrote a blog post on this a little while ago that I'll share in the comments in the chat if you would like to read that. Hey, Kiana, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Yes, here's the link on my website, Vicarious Trauma. Right? As a healing practitioner, I help my clients process traumatic events that have happened, knowing that there's an other side to it, right? There's another side once you move through this, which takes time, which takes being gentle with yourself, compassionate. Once you move through this, right, there's another side to it. The issue is we're still being impacted by trauma within the environment that we're in. As we're trying to heal individually from what we experienced, we're also being impacted continuously by systemic trauma that does not stop. And so just to say that, right, it can bring up old things that you have experienced people in your family have experienced, community, and it's a lot. And so healing is just really like gathering the tools, but unfortunately knowing that just living in, again, a colonial system, a system, many systems of oppression, the wound will be reopened. But just having the tools to ground yourself, right? To invite in breath, having an ability to regulate through emotional responses can help you navigate some of these things, right? Well, unfortunately, we can't turn off the systemic trauma that we're experiencing, having this like understanding of self within these systems, right? Knowing that you're not the problem, it's not you for feeling angry, for feeling sad, for cussing at the TV, right? When you see what's happening. No, that's the reaction that you should have to seeing someone be harmed. Thank you for sharing this. Yeah, I literally just had a dump cry about a half hour ago. It's just so much. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, yes. Crying as a release. Thank you for this. To release these pent up emotions, right? We see it. We've seen it for a long time now, right? For a while, was it 92% of Black women who voted against this person in office now? We've seen it. We've tried to tell people. And that's another part that's been like truly angering for me too. It's like y'all weren't listening to us. Y'all weren't taking our concerns seriously. Right? But now all of a sudden it's serious. And the fact that we have to do this all the time, it's a cycle. We have to go through it. Y'all, we try to warn you. We literally, in all the ways that we could. And this is the result. It's angering. Also, the propaganda agenda is deliberately and insidiously designed to cultivate infighting among us as a communal people. Divide and conquer is an age old effective war strategy. I'm going to be true to me. I love that name. Thank you. Thank you for this. Yes. Deliberately and insidiously designed to cultivate infighting among us as a communal people. Yes. Divide and conquer is an age old effective war strategy. Yes. Ooh, if that is not social media in a nutshell, I appreciate you sharing this. Yeah, it thrives off of that, right? Creating divisions where there were none before to like separate us, as you said, from the power that we have as a communal people. And again, being affected by what other people are going through. Why does the society tell us that that's the issue? Why are you being affected by what someone else is going through? It's like, how can I not? How can I not? That's your humanity. And again, socialized within a settler colony. They want us disconnected from our emotions to make us into these unfeeling, uncaring robots who have no communal ties. Right? That is the goal. And we see it on overdrive. Hey, Hab, good to see you. Good afternoon, Marissa and Chad. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Kiana. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Super sticker. Thank you. I appreciate you. Right. And so if you are, again, feeling the weight of vicarious trauma, of seeing other people be harmed and you having a human response to seeing other people be harmed, right? Feeling angry, feeling sad, again, feeling like, didn't we try to tell you? Didn't we tell you? Didn't we do all of these things? try to educate you, right? Those of us, and I could do a whole thing on this, but those of us as Black women who were in DEI roles, which I was, literally trying to educate people on the history of the US, seeing the roots of all these things, seeing that this was the result, and then being forced out of our roles. So, yeah, it's angry. It's infuriating because now people are surprised, which tells us, right, that you haven't been listening to us this entire time. You haven't been taking us seriously. It's a lot. Marissa says Black people not being listened to when we were being harmed, yes, and now being told this is serious now that it impacts other people has been very hurtful. I so appreciate you sharing this. Woo. Just taking a breath here, moving through the emotions. The breath can be a really great, accessible, simple tool to bring you back to the state of your nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system state, which is just the calm state of your nervous system where you're able to process information, plan for the future, strategize, versus the survival mode that the society loves to have us in intentionally so that we can't access all the parts of our brains. So it's very real. So, yes, thank you so much. Black people not being listened to. We're being harmed and now being told that this is serious now that impacts other people has been very hurtful. Yeah. Yeah. It has. It really has. Yeah. There's a level of rage, of disillusionment. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when it was happening to us, because our lives are not valued within the system, um, there's not an issue with it. But now that we see other folks being impacted by the same exact things, what we're seeing is a continuation of patrols, right, created to police enslaved people. It's not new. None of these things are new. We've been trying to educate people about this for centuries to bring awareness and attention to what's actually happening, right? But because our lives are not valued within the system that we're in, what we have to say, right, and the knowledge that we have, the insight that we have from our experiences is not taken seriously until it starts to impact other people. And that's real. John Cat, hello. 3,000. I hate to say it, but the surprise is making me angry, honestly. Yeah. People say they want to go back to normal makes me think people still haven't learned angry and sad. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Me too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go back to normal. Oh, what is normal? What is normal? Thank you for saying that. Yep. Like, can't we just go back to normal? What is normal? Right? To really think about the history of how we even came to be in the US as Black people. And we're seeing that none of these things ever ended, right? The narrative was that it ended, it's in the past. We hear all the time, why are you still bringing this up? Why are you still talking about slavery? It was in the past. It never actually ended, right? Legally, the institution of slavery was abolished, but the practice never ended. We see it continuing today. Right? We see the the continuation, right, of our ancestors being kidnapped, being trafficked. And then the lie that we're the ones who are lazy. That always gets me. You went through the trouble of kidnapping an entire people, forcibly, right, trafficking across an ocean, often going first to the Caribbean to, the term is seasoning, but it's really to psychologically break somebody, remove them from any cultural ties that they had, communal ties, right, to then force them to the US, Latin America, South America. You went through all that trouble to get our labor, to try to own our bodies, because you couldn't do it. But we're the ones who are lazy. Okay. Okay. And something I've been studying more about is how trauma impacts the memory, right? And so the part of the brain that holds memories, processes what happened to us in the past, is the hippocampus. And with trauma, that actually shrinks. So the part of our brain that holds the memories of where we come from, of what actually happened, of who we are, that part of our brain shrinks when we're under duress, when we're in highly traumatic conditions. And to think about over centuries, what has been the impact of that through everything that we've experienced. And still, right, something within us, it can't be turned off. The fact that we are here in 2026, still saying, like, no, you kidnapped my ancestors. Like, I'm not gonna forget that. Like, that's truly remarkable given the what trauma does to our bodies. Hello, the plant plan. Good to see you. Hi, all just came in, but reading the comments, these are the things that I've been shouting in my head all month. I need this space. Thank you. You're so welcome. Thank you for being here. Yeah. And it helps just for to be in a space where other people are naming it too. So it doesn't feel so isolating. Right. One of the things about social media, it's like we feel like we're connected all the time, but really it feels more isolating, to me at least, than it ever did. The more that social media grows, the more isolating it feels. Even though we're all connected, it doesn't feel real. And then introduce things like AI, right? When you don't know if someone's actually, is it them saying it? Is it, it's just a lot. And so I'm really glad to have this space today too. Thank you for being here. Marissa says, yes, the surprise is very upsetting, especially the go back to normal pisses me off. So if you want to go back, yes. So when you got to oppress me comfortably, that's it. That's it. Yeah, what is normal? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Given the fact that we have been in bondage, right? Again, the institutional slavery was abolished, but the practice never ended. And so, what is your normal? For you not to be affected by things that we've been trying to bring to the surface forever, since the creation of whatever that is, right? The colony. Since the creation of the colony, we've been trying to tell you what's actually happening, how we're being impacted, right? And so, what is your normal? What is this normal that you're trying to go back to? I agree. I agree. On Reddit, a comment was made comparing this strategy to Rodney King's brutality instead of to George Floyd's murder. How curious. Still a willful dismissal of Black lives. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Mm, it's so much. Thank you for that. Yeah. Yeah. That's the normal they want. That's it. Thank you. Yeah. They want us to help to fight to get back to prior status quo when everything was okay for them, and what they're experiencing now was still a reality for us that they can go back to ignoring. Yeah. 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 To get back to prior status quo. Yes. Again, which our labor upholds their status quo, right? They wouldn't have their status quo without our labor. And then what is told to us as a form of, again, here we go, disorientation. Your labor is actually worth nothing. Your life is worth nothing. Then why do you need my labor to uphold all of your systems if it's worth nothing? You wouldn't have your systems without my labor, right? From the inception, we can see, if we track it across time, we can see that you needed it so bad that you went to those links to, again, the strategies that were mentioned earlier: divide, conquer, right? Turn people against each other, make people seem like they would be the exception to the rule if they went along with your plan, right? To undo this like whole evil plan that you've come up with. And so, yeah, if you track it, yeah, this is the result. But we've been trying to say for years, for decades, for centuries, thank you to Black women activists, right, in particular, whose voices have been attempted to be silenced due to anti Blackness, right, misogynoir, even within Black freedom movements, which I love to talk more about, right? Black women's voices being pushed to the sides. We don't need your voice, right? This is actually what we're going to do, trying to implement the patriarchy within Black freedom spaces, trying to maintain that. That could be a whole other podcast. But truly, but we've been trying to sound the alarm. And so it is angering to see people wake up, because I feel like we've went through this already, right? This is exactly what happened in 2020. Everyone's book club, right? Those of us who were in DEI spaces in particular, um, trying to educate people. Whew, I'm so glad I've released that. But trying to educate people, trying to have book club recommendations, all these books that people bought, right? And here we are in 2026. It's the same thing. People waking up again. It's like a cycle all the time. It's a lot. It's a lot. That's it. Thank you. Thank you, Junkhead. Woo. It's giving all lives matter. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. 100%. And that's right, Marissa. They only appreciate our labor when it's missing. Thank you for that. Yeah. 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 And so it's the importance of recognizing that if you are experiencing vicarious trauma, which is again being affected by what we see other people going through, other people being harmed. Often these people share our sometimes our identity, um, where we come from, right? Our communities. And we're supposed to be affected by seeing other people be harmed. When we don't, that really tells us that there's an issue, right? That something is happening that's taking us away from the human condition. When we start to not be affected by seeing people be harmed and violence inflicted upon them. That's the true issue. And so the trauma that we witness right on social media, the news, within our communities becomes part of our collective nervous system, right? It truly lives within our bodies, which is why if you have a practice that helps you navigate and flow through some of these emotions versus suppressing them and keeping them stagnant, this can look like gentle movement, right? Stretching, creative practices, walking, things that you can do like relatively easily, right? If you're able to, right? It's different for everyone. But knowing that anything that is accessible to you to move this energy through you can really be helpful during these times, right? Because they want your energy stagnant. They want you to feel stuck, right? That there is no hope, that there is no reason for joy. And so, anytime that you can push back against that by unapologetically seeking joy, right? You're resisting entire systems that are trying to steal that from you. You're resisting their disorientation, right? No, you're not going to get me on that path because I'm rooted in what I know, right? In the works of people who have come before me. I think reading is so essential during these times versus relying solely on social media for news analysis, right? What do you think about it? Practicing like critical thinking is so essential because one thing that social media does is tries to turn that off. So we can't think critically. So we're in kind of this whirlpool, right, of everyone else's opinion and thoughts and beliefs. Like really ask yourself, like, what do you think about it? How do you feel? And so if you are experiencing exhaustion, rage, sadness, maybe like physical sensations, a tight chest, tension in your jaw, tension in your shoulders, feeling like numb, that could be vicarious trauma, right? From what we're witnessing, what we're experiencing. Witnessing violence day in and day out activates our bodies, right? Our bodies go into survival responses. And so, knowing that there are ways that we can stay grounded within this time are so important. Allowing yourself to feel what you feel without apologizing, even if you're in a space where other people are making you feel like it's not a big deal. Coming into spaces, hopefully, like this, where you feel safe to just acknowledge, like, no, that is a big deal. I should feel how I'm feeling. And just saying that to yourself can be a way to stay grounded. Protecting your nervous system, so taking breaks from trauma that we're ingesting, the social media feeds, news, using your agency to step away, to take a break, breathe, right? Which sounds simple, but when we're in the stress response, breath can go. And so just even intentionally taking 1, 2, 3 deep breaths, seeing if you can make your exhale slightly longer than your inhale to bring you into the part of your nervous system that is again calm, relaxed, at ease, allows you to think strategically versus rushed, right? And try to quickly put everything together. Take a few deep breaths and see how you feel after. Being in aligned community spaces is essential. Not every community space is aligned. As we see, as we see. And so being in spaces that really feel right, and our bodies are often the first source of information when it comes to that. How do I feel in this space? And do I need to seek out a different one? Do I feel like I can say the truth, that I'll be supported in how I feel? And then really leaning into self compassion during these times, right? Self compassion as resistance, that we are going through a lot, right? That we have been trying to bring these things up for a long time, that we have done the activism. We have. And so this is not surprising to a lot of us. Into the comments in the chat earlier, like, yeah, it is angry. Because again, that tells me that this entire time you haven't been paying attention to what I've been saying. You haven't been listening. You've been devaluing my expertise, my lived experience. You've been tuning it out. That's what that tells me. And so there is a level of anger, and allow yourself to feel that. Rightfully so. And so just going through my notes, I think that was all I had to say. I just wanted to pop in here. It's kind of a impromptu chat slash healing space slash release of emotions, right, that I have been experiencing, witnessing. Um, a lot of these things, it's heavy. It is heavy. Um, there are tools that we can utilize that I've shared on my channel, right? Different ways that we can come back into our bodies to let ourselves know that it's not us, to resist what we are witnessing, experiencing, and to stay rooted in truth, which is so important during these times. There's so much misinformation and disinformation out there. So I want to thank y'all so much. If you are here live joining me, thank you. Again, I did write a blog post on vicarious trauma on my website if you'd like to read that. You can also connect with me. Here are my links on socials. I do have client openings as well for February. If you are interested in working with me one-on-one, I am a healing practitioner now licensed in the state of Illinois. So if you do need space to process what you're experiencing, I am a healing practitioner. I am a trauma informed coach. I'm a somatic facilitator. And you can always go to my website to learn more. And you can always support my work right here at Buy Me a Coffee. I appreciate you all being here so much. Know that you're not alone. Know that what we are experiencing is a mixture of different things: rage, anger, disillusionment, grief, trying to get prepared. I know that that has been coming over me a lot, like just feeling that, right, viscerally. Like, okay, I get it. Um, yeah, but know that you're supposed to feel a way when you see other people be harmed. That should be the default. And when that doesn't happen, right, that tells me something else is going on in the society. When a lot of us don't feel any type of way when we see other people be harmed or impacted. And so, yeah, I hope it resonates today. But yeah, it does. It does. Inviting in joy, inviting in ways to come back into your body is so important, right? Just knowing that you're not alone. That's really it. The plant says, yes, the bracing for impact while angry is hard. It is. Thank you for naming that. Yeah, it is. Bracing for impact while angry. Yeah. Because often that bracing for impact is our body's freeze response, right? To trauma or potentially fight response. And then also having to process, especially when we're in environments where emotions are not welcome, which is a lot, which is actually most environments, while also trying to process behind the scenes what's going on. How am I feeling? What mask do I have to put on in this space today to get through? It's a lot. It's a lot. And so just being compassionate towards yourself that you are dealing with a lot. You are navigating heavy times. You are experiencing human emotions, right, that are often not welcome in the spaces that we're in. But creating those spaces for yourself is critical. And so yes, y'all, thank you for joining me. If you're watching the replay, thank you so much. Please subscribe to my channel if you're interested in liberatory healing, right? Actually telling the truth to heal. The truth about what we've experienced, what we're experiencing now, how that impacts us collectively, how that has stayed within our bodies, how we can begin processing, right? Different things. So, really, like, again, telling the truth to heal and not trying to put any toxic positivity on anything because who does that help? It's okay to say this is really messed up and I'm angry and I see that you weren't listening to me. And it seems like when this was impacting me, no one cared. But now that's impacting other people, right, who within the hierarchy have a higher value assigned to them. Now everyone is up in arms. Telling yourself the truth to heal, to make space for emotions is so important. So y'all are welcome. Thank you, Marissa. Thank you, Junket. You are welcome. You're welcome. And thank you, PSC LELJ. Thank you so much. And until next time, y'all, I'm gonna take this week off. It's my birthday week. So I'm gonna take this week off and I plan to be back in February with more content around healing as Black women. Some topics I'll be talking about over the next few months: healing from codependency, healing from limerence, enmeshment. Those of us who have had family members with addiction, how to process some of those feelings, right, which can impact us in adulthood and the types of relationships that we enter into. And so, again, really like telling the truth to heal by sharing my own experience, sharing things that have been kind of like taboo, but that a lot of us experience, a lot of us deal with. And so, how can we shed light on these things to disintegrate the shame, right? Because none of this is shameful. It's just things that we've been through, life experiences that show up in different ways in adulthood. And so that's what I'll be focused on, right? Healing as Black women, going back to some of our experiences as girls, right, throughout childhood, adolescence, that now show up as adults. And it seems like it comes out of nowhere, but it's really a pattern that's been brewing over time. So that's what I'll be focused on. I appreciate y'all's support as always. Oh, thank you. Thank y'all. I appreciate you. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes. Yes, y'all. So with that, I will see y'all back in February for Black History Month. Some important conversations as we see what is happening, what's occurring, the work, particularly of Black women activists who have been ringing the alarm for a while, centuries, and really highlighting what they have shared with us, right, during these times. So, yes, y'all, on that note, please do something that brings you joy today, and know that you're not alone. But I will talk to you all in February. Thank you so much. Bye, y'all.